Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, brothers and sisters. Welcome back to the AI Deen Vision Channel, your home for stories that weave history, faith and wisdom. Today we're diving into episode 7 of our Ottoman series, a saga of survival, sacrifice and unyielding resolve. Our spotlight shines on Sultan Murad II, a ruler who stood as a bulwark against a storm of enemies, from rebellious Beyliks within to crusading armies from Europe. From 1421 to 1451, with a brief pause in between, Murad II faced challenges that would have broken lesser men. Yet through his wisdom, courage and trust in Allah SWT, he not only preserved the Ottoman state but set the stage for its golden age under his son, Mehmed the Conqueror. This is a tale of a Ghazi sultan, a defender of the ummah, and a man whose legacy still resonates today. So grab a notebook, pour yourself some chai, and let's travel back to the 15th century to uncover the triumphs and trials of Murad II. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to join our journey through history. Before we begin, let's reflect on why Murad's story matters. The Quran reminds us in Surah Al-Anfal, ayah 46, and obey Allah and His Messenger, and do not dispute, and thus lose courage, and then your strength would depart, and be patient. Indeed, Allah is with the patient. Murad's reign was a living testament to this ayah. Patience and unity in the face of division and despair. Let's explore how he embodied these values. The young Sultan's burden. To understand Murad II, we need to step into his world. Born in June 1404 in Amasya, a serene city in northern Anatolia, Murad was the son of Sultan Mehmed I, known as Celebi the Noble. His childhood was anything but peaceful. The Ottoman state was reeling from the catastrophic defeat at Ankara in 1402, where Timur's armies shattered Bayezid I's empire. The result? A decade-long civil war called the Ottoman Interregnum, where brothers fought brothers and rival Beyliks, small Turkish principalities, carved out their own domains. By the time Mehmed I died in 1421, he had stitched the empire back together, but it was fragile, like a tapestry held by thin threads. When Murad, barely 17, ascended the throne as the 6th Ottoman Sultan, he inherited not a crown of glory but a crown of thorns. Imagine being a teenager, thrust onto a throne surrounded by wolves. Within weeks, Murad faced a pretender. His uncle Mustafa, dubbed Düzmece Mustafa, or False Mustafa. Backed by the Byzantine Emperor Manuel II Palaeologus, Mustafa rallied troops in Rumelia, the Ottoman territories in Europe, and declared himself Sultan in Edirne. He even crossed the Dardanelles into Anatolia, threatening to unravel everything Mehmed I had built. To make matters worse, the Byzantines released Murad's younger brother, Kukuk Mustafa, sparking a second rebellion in Anatolia. This wasn't just a family feud, it was an existential crisis. But Murad was no ordinary youth. Guided by his advisors like the wise vizier Kandali Halil Pasha, he moved with precision. He besieged Mustafa's forces in Gallipoli, cutting off their supplies. A Genoese mercenary named Adorno, sensing Murad's resolve, betrayed Mustafa, delivering him to the young sultan. Mustafa was executed in 1422, his rebellion crushed. Kukuk Mustafa's revolt met a similar fate the following year, with Murad's troops storming his base in Iznik. These early victories weren't just about power, they were about survival. Murad knew that a divided empire would fall to its enemies, both within and beyond its borders. Let's pause for a moment. The Quran teaches us in Surah Al-Baqarah, ayah 153, "O you who have believed, seek help through patience and prayer. Indeed, Allah is with the patient." Murad's early reign reflects this. Faced with betrayal, he didn't despair. He turned to strategy and faith, trusting that Allah SWT would guide him through the storm. The Byzantine gambit and Anatolian unity. With internal threats subdued, Murad turned his attention to the Byzantine Empire, the fading shadow of Rome that still clung to Constantinople. The Byzantines had meddled in Ottoman affairs for too long, supporting pretenders like Mustafa to keep the Ottomans weak. In 1422, Murad struck back, launching a daring siege against Constantinople itself. This wasn't just a military campaign, it was a declaration of intent. Murad organized a new infantry unit, the Azebs, and marched through Byzantine territories, tightening the noose around their capital. The siege was a spectacle. Ottoman troops, numbering in the tens of thousands, surrounded the city's formidable walls. Murad's engineers brought early cannons, a new technology that hinted at the future of warfare. But Constantinople's defenses, built centuries earlier, were legendary. The Byzantines, led by Emperor Emmanuel II and his son John VIII, held firm, bolstered by their faith and the city's massive fortifications. After months of effort, Murad realized the siege was draining his resources, and the Byzantines were playing another card. While Murad was focused on Constantinople, the Byzantines incited Anatolian Beyliks, like the Aydinids, Germianids and Karamanids, to revolt. These principalities, once allies of the Ottomans, saw a chance to reclaim independence. Suddenly, Murad faced a war on two fronts. He made a tough call: lift the siege and march back to Anatolia. This wasn't defeat, it was strategy. Over the next few years, Murad campaigned tirelessly, subduing one Beylik after another. By the late 1420s, he had annexed Aydin, Germian and parts of Karaman, forcing others to swear allegiance. The Byzantines were outmaneuvered, and their tribute payments resumed. This chapter of Murad's reign shows us the power of adaptability. He didn't cling to pride or vengeance. He prioritized the empire's unity. As Muslims, we're reminded of Surah Al-Imran, Ayah 159. So by mercy from Allah, O Muhammad, you were lenient with them. And if you had been rude in speech and harsh in heart, they would have disbanded from about you. Murad's leniency with some defeated Beyliks, offering them roles within the empire, ensured loyalty where force alone might have failed. The Balkan front and the Crusade of Varna. Now let's turn to the Balkans, where Murad's reign became a chessboard of war and diplomacy. The Balkans were a patchwork of Christian states: Serbia, Hungary, Wallachia and Albania, backed by Venice and the Pope, all wary of Ottoman expansion. In 1430, after a grueling 5-year campaign, Murad captured Thessalonica from Venice, a major port city. This wasn't just a military win, it showcased Ottoman naval power and sent ripples of fear through Europe. But the real test came in the 1440s, when a new wave of crusades threatened to push the Ottomans out of Europe entirely. By 1444, Murad had been Sultan for over 2 decades, and the constant wars had taken their toll. Seeking peace, he abdicated in favor of his 12-year-old son Mehmed II, hoping to retire to a life of reflection in Manisa. But peace was a mirage. A coalition of Christian powers, Hungary, Poland, Serbia and others, saw Murad's abdication as a chance to strike. Backed by Pope Eugene IV, they broke a peace treaty signed at Edirne and launched the Crusade of Varna. Murad was called back to lead, and what followed was one of the defining battles of his reign. The Battle of Varna, 1444. Let's dive deep into the Battle of Varna, fought on November 10th, 1444, a clash that shaped the fate of the Ottoman Empire and sent shockwaves through Europe. To understand its significance, we need to set the stage. By 1443, Murad II had negotiated a 10-year peace treaty with Hungary at Edirne, hoping to stabilize his empire after years of war. Exhausted, he handed the throne to his young son Mehmed II and retired to Manisa. But peace was fragile. The Christian powers, led by King Vladislav III of Poland and Hungary, saw the boy sultan as a weakness. Urged by Pope Eugene IV, who declared the treaty void under Christian law, they formed a crusade to drive the Ottomans out of Europe. The Crusader army was formidable, around 20,000 to 30,000 men, including Hungarian knights under John Hunyadi, Polish cavalry, Wallachian auxiliaries, and Serbian troops. Their plan was bold: march through Ottoman Rumelia, capture key fortresses, and link up with a Venetian fleet at the Black Sea to block Ottoman reinforcements from Anatolia. Hunyadi, a seasoned commander, led the campaign with confidence, believing the Ottomans were vulnerable without Murad. But they underestimated the empire's resilience. When news of the Crusaders' march reached Edirne, the Ottoman court was in turmoil. Mehmed II, only 12, was unprepared for such a crisis. Kandali Halil Pasha, the Grand Vizier, sent urgent messages to Murad, begging him to return. Murad, ever the dutiful servant of the state, agreed. Crossing the Bosphorus with his Anatolian troops, he rallied his forces in Rumelia, assembling an army of roughly 40,000 men, Janissaries, Sipahi cavalry, Azebs and irregulars. The odds were uncertain, but Murad's experience gave him an edge. The two armies met near Varna, a coastal town on the Black Sea, on a cold November morning. The Crusaders chose a strong position, their left flank protected by the sea, their right by marshes and hills, and their centre anchored by heavy cavalry and infantry. Hunyadi placed his Hungarian and Polish knights in the centre, with lighter Wallachian and Serbian troops on the flanks. Across the field, Murad deployed his forces with care. His centre was held by the elite Janissaries, protected by stakes and trenches, a defensive tactic to absorb the Crusader charge. His Sipahi cavalry guarded the wings, ready to exploit any gaps, while Anatolian irregulars skirmished on the flanks. The battle began with a Crusader advance. Hunyadi's knights charged the Ottoman centre, aiming to break the Janissaries, but Murad had anticipated this. His infantry held firm, their arquebuses and crossbows thinning the enemy ranks. The Crusaders' heavy armour, while formidable, slowed them in the muddy terrain. Meanwhile, Murad's Sipahi cavalry outmaneuvered the lighter Wallachian and Serbian flanks, forcing them to retreat. For hours, the battle hung in the balance, with Hunyadi's tactical genius keeping the Crusaders cohesive. Then came the turning point. King Ladislaw, eager for glory, led a reckless charge against Murad's centre, hoping to kill the Sultan himself. Murad, positioned behind his Janissaries, remained calm. The Janissaries parted, luring Ladislaw's knights into a trap. Ottoman archers and cavalry closed in, cutting them down. Ladislaw fell. His head later displayed on a pike to demoralize the Crusaders. This was a devastating blow. Without their king, the coalition began to fracture. With Ladislaw dead, Hunyadi tried to rally the remaining forces, but the tide had turned. Murad ordered a full counterattack. His Sipahis swept around the Crusader flanks while the Janissaries advanced, their disciplined volleys breaking the enemy lines. By dusk, the Crusader army was in chaos, fleeing toward the marshes or the sea. Thousands were killed or captured. Hunyadi himself barely escaped. The Ottoman victory was total. Why was Varna so significant? It crushed the last major crusade against the Ottomans in the Balkans, securing Rumelia for decades. It proved Murad's genius as a commander and the strength of his diverse army. Muslims from Anatolia and Rumelia united under one banner. From an Islamic perspective, Varna was a moment of divine favor, echoing Surah Al-Fath, Ayah 1, "Indeed, we have given you, O Muhammad, a clear conquest." Murad's trust in Allah Estauti, even after abdicating, brought him back to lead his people to triumph. But Varna wasn't the end. The Crusaders returned in 1448 at the Second Battle of Kosovo, led by Hunyadi. Once again, Murad outmaneuvered them, winning another decisive victory. These battles weren't just about territory. They were about proving that the Ottoman state, rooted in faith and unity, could withstand the might of Europe. Murad's legacy and cultural contributions. Murad II wasn't just a warrior. He was a builder of culture and institutions. His court in Edirne was a hub of poetry, calligraphy and scholarship, attracting minds from across the Islamic world. He patronized poets like Ahmedi, whose work celebrated the Ghazi spirit. He also strengthened the Janissary corps, transforming them into the empire's backbone, and reformed the Taimar system, ensuring loyalty from provincial governors. These weren't just administrative moves, they were steps toward a unified ummah. One story stands out. In his later years, Murad often retreated to his lodge in Manisa, seeking solitude and reflection. Yet when his people needed him, he returned without hesitation. This humility reminds us of the Prophet Muhammad, PBUH, who said, "The best of leaders are those who serve their people." Murad's service culminated in his final legacy, preparing his son Mehmed II for greatness. When Murad died in 1451, he left an empire strong enough to conquer Constantinople just 2 years later in 1453. From an Islamic lens, Murad's life teaches us resilience. Surah Ash-Sharh, Ayah 5, 6 says, "Indeed with hardship will be ease. Indeed with hardship will be ease." Murad faced hardship after hardship, rebellions, sieges, crusades, but ease followed through his faith and perseverance. His story is a call to trust in Allah's plan, no matter how dark the path seems. So, what does Murad II's story teach us today? His reign was a crucible, forging an empire that would carry the banner of Islam for centuries. Against pretenders, Beyliks and European crusades, he stood as a Ghazi sultan, defending not just land, but the soul of the ummah. His victories at Varna and Kosovo weren't just military triumphs, they were proofs of faith, strategy and unity. Murad didn't seek glory for himself, he sought stability for his people, paving the way for his son to conquer Constantinople and open a new chapter in history. As we reflect on Murad's life, let's ask ourselves, how can we embody his patience and resolve in our own struggles? The Quran reminds us in Surah Ash-Sharh, "By time indeed mankind is in loss, except for those who have believed and done righteous deeds and advised each other to truth and advised each other to patience." Murad's legacy is a challenge to live with purpose, to unite for the greater good, and to trust in Allah's mercy. That's all for episode 7, brothers and sisters. Share your thoughts in the comments. What inspired you about Murad II? Like, subscribe, and share this video to spread his story. Next time, we'll dive into the life of Mehmed the Conqueror, the man who fulfilled Murad's dreams. Until then, stay curious, stay faithful, and keep seeking knowledge. In the next episode of our documentary series, The Rise and Fall of the Ottoman Empire, we step into the dramatic reign of one of the most legendary sultans in Ottoman history, Sultan Mehmed II, famously known as the Conqueror. Prepare yourself for an in-depth exploration of his extraordinary vision, military brilliance, and the epic conquest of Constantinople in 1453. This pivotal moment in history marked the end of the Byzantine Empire and the rise of the Ottomans as one of the most powerful empires in the world. Join us as we uncover the strategy, the siege, and the profound impact of this monumental event. Will Sultan Mehmed II's ambition bring about the fall of an ancient empire? What was the secret to his unparalleled success? Tune in next time to witness the transformation of the Ottoman Empire under the might of Sultan Mehmed II and how it set the stage for a new era in world history. Don't miss it. Stay with us as we continue to uncover the breathtaking saga of the Ottomans. See you in the next episode. Allah Hafiz.